Hiawatha Golf Course has had 4 major floods in the last 75 years. That's 4 in 100-year floods in 75 years. Each time we fought back Mother Nature, and Mother Nature had won in those situations. We built walls and we brought in fill to the golf course. We created a giant berm and put in pumps that moved 240 million gallons of water each year from the golf course. So this time we're trying to do something different. We're going to try to work with Mother Nature and work together to really improve this course. The course will be more resilient to floods. The park will be more welcoming to more people. And the area's ecology will drastically improve from this work. We received clear direction from our elected commissioners to reduce pumping on the golf course and design a more flood resilient golf course. The designs today accomplish that, and they accomplish so much more than just the designs. There will be a new era for Lake Hiawatha and for the Hiawatha Golf Course. I want to also say that this is an historic course and has significance to the black golfers. We renamed the course clubhouse after Solomon Hughes Sr. in 2022. We researched and we created signs to raise awareness about black history to Hiawatha as well. And for me personally, that is very, very important. I've met with Solomon Hughes' family. I met with Darwin Dean. I met with the Browns Foundation. And this is something that's very personal for me, and I understand very clearly the history of this golf course and what it means to the black golfers, and for me as a person of color too. But I also know that change is hard, but I believe this is the way forward for this golf course. This is a good plan and an exciting plan. So with that, I'm going to introduce our project manager, Tyler Pedersen, to talk more about this project.
Thanks, Superintendent Bangora. My name is Tyler Pedersen. I'm a design project manager here at the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. My last name is spelled P-E-D, as in David, P-E-D-E-R-S-O-N. And I just want to take a little bit of time to talk about what's happening tonight and going on in the future here at Lake Hiawatha. So tonight we'll be debuting 3 design concepts, and they're going to be founded on that 2022 park plan that the board has passed. All 3 concepts have the same principles to them. They're just arranged a little bit differently in the layout. What we want to do is have people pick and choose features of each of those concepts. We're not going to be voting on concept A, B, or C. It's really trying to take bits and pieces of each, and then over the next several months creating a singular plan that embodies the principles of the 2022 park plan and the feedback we've received to date. Once we have a preferred concepts, the park commissioners will weigh in on that concept in early spring 2026 and get approvals for that. After that's approved, we're going to go about trying to find funding for this project, and we're going to have to seek out funding from several different sources. The course will continue to operate until we have that funding and until we break ground. The earliest that we're thinking we can break ground on this project, if the stars are aligned, is around 2030. So it's going to be several years yet until we actually start that work. In the meantime, we are going to be making some big investments in the golf course irrigation. There's been some issues with irrigation around the greens, and the greens have suffered over the last couple of years. We're going to replace the irrigation pumps, several of the controllers, and allow the course to better flourish for the next several years here. And all that equipment will not go to waste. It's going to be reused in the new plan. So I'm not going to go into depth on each of the concepts. We can all understand some of those concepts later this evening. If you'd like to join us, we'd be happy to talk to you about them then. So I'll touch on some of those plans and the guiding principles behind them, and then I'll hand it over to Brandon Johnson. He's our golf course architect. So the current golf course now, it's actually in really great shape. We've got a new superintendent and operations manager who are doing a really great job out there. It's in great shape. It's playing really well right now. We've received several good compliments, so that's great to hear. The concepts, each of the three concepts that are over here features a 9-hole golf course, par 36 with the driving range. There's a unique twist that Brandon will get into in just a moment here, talking about how that golf course, 9 holes, could actually be played as 18. The plans also include new golf facilities like practice holes, learning center, driving range, and we're working with the First Tee of Minnesota to develop a plan for them and a partnership here at the golf course. Each of the concepts improve connections to the community. Right now there's a fence around the entire golf course. We actually want to break down that barrier and make that edge more transparent. We want to be able to connect the golf course, the park, the lake, the neighborhood, all with that trail system, about 2 miles of new trails. Other recreation besides golf, we're looking at regional trails, of course, which I just spoke about. Improved cross-country skiing. There's about a 5K loop out here now, but it's very weather dependent and snow dependent. What we're looking to do is actually make snow out here and have it possibly lit, so we get an extended season for cross-country skiers in South Minneapolis, something that South Minneapolis really doesn't have. The concepts are going to improve ecology. As Superintendent Bangora said, we really want to align ourselves with Mother Nature rather than fighting back against her. 100 years ago, the park board dredged the lake out here. We put all the fill over on top of a wetland, and we really degraded the landscape. We're really trying to reverse that and bring some of that back and be more aligned with Mother Nature. Above all, this is going to be a flood resilient design. It's one of the biggest reasons we're doing this work, is so that when it does flood, which it will, it can bounce back a lot faster and not require 20 months of restoration as it did in 2014. I do want to just recognize a few folks, the golf course leadership at the golf course and at headquarters, environmental stewardship and the planning division. They've done a lot of great work helping us out on this. Our stakeholders like the Friends of Lake Hiawatha, the Lopet Foundation, Minneapolis Golf Coaches, as well as First Tee of Minnesota, as well as our partners like the City of Minneapolis and the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District. I think with that, we'll turn it over to Brandon here, and he's going to talk a little bit about the golf course and some of the things we're working for.
Good morning. My name is Brandon Johnson. I'm the founder of Brandon Johnson Golf Course Design and its principal architect. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited about the Hiawatha Golf Course project. And as Tyler said, you have an existing 18-hole golf course that has some environmental challenges. I think one of the things that we're going to do in each of these three concepts with the 9 holes is embed an 18-hole golf course experience within the 9 holes. So for example, if you're playing a par 5, it could be a reachable par 5, on your first loop around, you're going to play it as a par 5 through various tees, angles of play, different yardages, and oversized greens, and very gracious fairway widths. We're going to allow for that par 5 to be converted to, say, a medium length par 4. Or the next hole that you play could be, say, a medium length par 4 of 375 yards. The next time around for your 18-hole golf course, that same golf hole gets converted to, say, a reachable or drivable par 4. So embedded within this 9-hole experience, large greens with double pins, you're going to have a lot of variety in yardages, angle of play, golfers that are playing every day, it's going to be a completely different experience from one day to the next. And so we think that's a fun, innovative way to revamp this golf course. As a project team, we've done a lot of study and gained inspiration from a lot of other historic 9-hole golf courses. 3 in particular that we studied kind of have some of these features that we're being inspired by. As a project team, we looked at Sewanee Golf Course in Tennessee, Bobby Jones Golf Course in Atlanta, and Sweetens Cove. And they have a lot of elements that have been very successful within their communities. And we're being inspired by that and coming up with our own new and creative ways to make Hiawatha just as interesting. And with that, I'll hand it over to Tyler, and we can talk more about the golf course.
All right, I think we'll just open it up to some questions.
You talked about trying to find a funding source. How much are these designs going to cost us?
So back in 2022, we approved the park plan, basically the master plan or the diagrammatic plan of the golf course. We estimated about $43 million, plus or minus. There's always contingency there, and that's the cost target that we're designing to right now.
So when you say you're having to look for other revenue sources, is that meaning raising taxes, a referendum, reaching out to the legislature? Explain that to folks what you mean.
Funding sources are going to vary for this project, just like every other park board project, North Commons or Waterworks. We're always looking to find unique or creative ways to raise money. A lot of that isn't settled. Nothing's set in stone right now. So there's a lot of work we need to do with that.
What are the main differences between the 3 concepts?
Brennan, you want to talk?
Well, obviously each concept has a 9-hole plan, but what we're also studying is the practice facility. I think that's really important within this community. Certainly when I was out there last night watching the community use the facility, there were a full line of people on the driving range, there were people on the putting greens, there were people at chipping. So there's going to be a large emphasis within each plan to look at how the practice facilities will be sited. A driving range that is at least 300 yards long, putting greens, a very robust short game area with real greens, so as you're playing you can get the proper feedback when you're hitting a 10-yard chip or a 40-yard chip. We're also looking at the concepts of a Himalayan style putting green, which is a really large green with a lot of fun undulating contours that can be set up as a putting course, and then that can change differently. We're also looking at a short course, so in addition to, say, the 9-hole regulation golf course, we're looking at various types of short courses, whether it's a 3-hole short course or a 9-hole short course. So the whole complement of the facility is going to provide a lot of different experiences for the golfer, not just playing, but a lot of really fun, interesting, and engaging practice facilities, and then what I would also say, fun practice, where the kids and the rest of the community can kind of get lost in practice and hopefully stay there for hours and hours and enjoy the game.
Could you touch on the significance of this course to the black community and what Solomon used for the event here?
Yeah. I mean, it's a deep history. Certainly a golf course in this community that opened it up for blacks first when we weren't allowed to play. And I know for myself, my journey in the game, it certainly touches my heart and my soul. So I'm extremely excited to be involved in a project with that kind of historical significance.
Will tonight be the first opportunity community has had to see these 3 options and give feedback on them?
Yes, tonight will be the first opportunity for the community to see these options. We had 3 focus group sessions over the last 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, where we kind of had kind of sneak peeks at it for an invited few to kind of complement or comment and talk with the design team one-on-one, and kind of focused on certain aspects like water and ecology, golf, and then other aspects of it. Yeah, you know, we understand the history of the golf course and the importance to the black community, but that history is still alive today, and we want to perpetuate that into the future. So we're really focusing on the beginning stages of a golfer's golfing career out here, or sport out here, rather than focusing maybe on the experts getting better. We really want to focus on bringing more youth to the golf course. First Tee of Minnesota is really going to help us with that, both in providing the practice facilities, helping us with that. Also, the programming. The programming is really, really important to getting more and more kids and golfers of color to the golf course and getting them off to the right start in their golfing career. And then the rest of our system here, we've got several other 18-hole golf courses. There's another 18-hole golf course just across the river in St. Paul, where they can expand their golfing careers there.
This is more for Al. Could you go a little more in depth with the conversation that you had with the
Yeah, it's great.
family?
Great question. Yeah, I think you know, there's a lot of personal. For me, it's very, very personal in a sense because of the fact that the history is so significant and the barriers that were broken by this family, by Ed Solomon Sr. to come in and to break those barriers was very important. We have in the building itself, we have recognition to that history. Meeting with the family was really important too, to share all the stories of this wonderful man and what he has done to introduce the game of golf, and particularly to the black community, to young persons of color that come in and start to want to play golf. My history started like I played tennis, so mine was Arthur Ashe, right? And then there's other, of course, that came along the way that introduced me to sport. I mean, the Venus and Serena Williams families that started off in a really broken down tennis court in Compton, right? It's the same thing. We break these barriers, and that family and Ed Solomon Sr., he broke the barriers and he opened up the courses for a lot of people like myself now that can look to that and look at that history and recognize the importance of it. So working with the family, talking to the family has been very important. And it's a deep history, and it really resonates with me, and it's very powerful.
You just had 2 wet summers in a row.
Yeah.
What were the impacts to the golf course?
So 2024 was a fantastic year for golf. We made some quite a bit of money. There's a decent amount of revenue that was coming in. The golf course itself, the greens kind of suffered a little bit because of the irrigation issues. Our golf course superintendents, they started to actually hand water those greens to keep them alive. We did some transplants to them of other greens to bring the greens in. And this year, we're off to a record start for rounds, which is really great to see. The golf course is in fantastic shape, and we couldn't be more thrilled with it.
Do you know how many gallons were pumped out last year?
I don't know the exact number offhand. In 2024, I believe it was around 200 million gallons of groundwater. I don't know what we're at currently.
And what is it still 18 holes?
Right now?
Yeah.
Yes, it's still 18 holes.
My son's got a better handicap and plays more than I do. So could you explain to folks the decision to change it from 18 to 9?
Sure.
Why not keeping it 18?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, with the amount of flooding that we have out there, with the topography, I don't know if you know, but several of the golf course holes, about 40 acres, sits below the level of the lake. So it's kind of a bathtub. And once the golf course, or once the lake floods, the creek floods, and it rises above 815.8 feet above sea level, the water goes right over that berm. The water will flood into the golf course as it did in 2014, but it's trapped back there because of that berm. So what we're looking to do, and in 2014, it took several months for half the golf course to be reopened, and then 20 months for the full golf course to be reopened. We're trying to avoid that and make it more flood resilient. So in order to keep the floodplain volume the same, so we're not impacting neighborhoods or spaces upstream of here, we need to be sure that the golf course is up out of that floodplain area, and the lower areas are actually made a little bit lower. So we're kind of rearranging the floodplain volumes so that golf course can drain and be flood resilient. Unfortunately, if we are going to reduce pumping, rearrange the floodplain a little bit, there's just simply not enough dry land to build 18 holes of golf. So we're kind of making lemonade out of lemons. We're able to really expand and enhance the regional park assets, build a bigger community hub by the current golf course. We're looking at banquet facilities, community spaces, community classrooms, all sorts of things to really engage that area of the golf course, and then linking up this space, Lake Nokomis, and that new kind of centralized hub with trails and wetlands and regional park spaces.
When are you aiming to complete the irrigation system up there?
So we've got funding available in 2026. So we're kind of doing some front-end research. We're talking with vendors right now, getting an idea of what it's going to cost and kind of pricing out things. And then we're looking to actually start some of the implementation and construction of that irrigation system right away in 2026.
Why has it taken so long to get to this point here?
That's a good question. This is a complex problem, complex project. There's several water resources issues out here that have taken several years to actually begin to understand. We've taken a good amount of time just tracking lake levels, pumping quantities, etc., to kind of build models around how water is managed on site. How's the water moving? What's it going to do when we actually start to change the site? It just takes time to do that. But we're getting close.
I am curious, Darwin Dean and others who have held the bronze and the junior bronze here at Hiawatha have said that they cannot host competitive golf tournaments with 9 holes. You mentioned this design may in fact be able to be played as if it were 18 holes. Have there been conversations with the bronze tournament and Dean about whether or not that then allows this to remain the home for those tournaments and energetically speaking the home for black golfers?
Yeah, I think it'll be a home for black golfers, but we'd have to chat with Darwin and the Bronze Foundation on how we might approach kind of a modified tournament here. Where there's several precedents of tournaments being played on 9 holes of golf, so not too worried about that, but we do have to work out those details.
All right, we got time for 1 or 2 more.
Can you talk some more about how these designs then align with Mother Nature specifically?
Sure.
Get a little bit into the
Yeah. I'm not an engineer, but so what we're trying to do is simplify things. Water is generally moving underground from west to east towards the Mississippi River here. It's also moving west to east on top of the ground as storm water through the creek. We've got several neighborhoods who drain into this lake. It's just the natural way of draining those spaces. And so we want to remove portions of the berm so that when it does flood, that water has a way to escape. That helps us with basically building in capacity for that storm sewer system to help alleviate some of the plug ups with this pipe that's right over there. It's half underwater. It gets plugged with sediment. It causes issues upstream of that. So that opening of it, daylighting that pipe, making it more like a creek, essentially a creek, and it'll basically alleviate a lot of that flooding upstream.
All right, thanks everyone for covering everything. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to me. I emailed you all this morning. We're also going to follow up with a link to all of those boards digitally, so you can get the details there.
Ben, what time is the meeting for folks to know?
The meeting's 6:30 to 8 at Lake Nokomis Community Center, just across the way. Lake Nokomis Community Center, that's 2401 East Minnehaha Parkway, 6:30 to 8.